Welcome to another Gem Collectors with Shawn. I am Shawn and I am raring to go. I was really proud of all of you with the trivia, which we did a What Am I? A lot of times, for those of you that may be joining us who are not really familiar with it, we do trivia that the questions are usually based on something to do with the show that you would have just currently watched. We'll do one at the end of today's show, or from something more recent, or I feel like something that you should know over the long term. Occasionally, though, we do a What Am I? And that's why I put up different mineral specimens, crystals, gemstones, whatever it may be. And from just me turning them and showing them to you, well, you have to decide what they are. And this is really important because I know that if I didn't have the knowledge that I have gained over, ever since the age of 11, getting into it as a rock hound, the estates that came into my jewelry store. So I had two jewelry stores at two different periods of time. The one was the really largely set up one. My second one ended up to becoming a buying business that I received all the business from all the other jewelry stores and pawn shops for anyone that would come in and have an estate of rocks or minerals to sell. Where do people normally go with that? Okay, grandpa might have, had known those type of people, but once they pass away, usually that generation, seldom is it ever passed on, like my own situation. I had one child, and this child, I am so proud of what he has chosen to do with his life. As a matter of fact, he's vacationing in the Mediterranean right now. Must be nice. And if he wasn't interested in rocks and minerals, which he wasn't, then Brad's going to say it best. Yep, Brad chimed in today, and I really like what he has to say about my situation. So, those estates that would come in, a lot of times I didn't have time. Other ones, like the rhodonite and galena piece that I had bought from other rock hounds, well-known rock hounds, that they had gotten this piece in, and they could not identify it right. But I had identified it enough to plunk down what they were asking without even negotiating the price. I thought it had to be worth that. One of those situations where it has to be worth more than that. And of course, it certainly was. So many times that I go to tailgate situations or smaller venue shows, or people that just know I like rocks and minerals, they'll come up and they'll say, "Oh, I've had this on my windowsill. Can you tell me what it is?" And, you hate to have decades of being in the industry or business and be able to say, "Well, I really don't know or have any idea." Much better to sound like a professor and know what it is. So it's just kind of good to, for me, it's fun as a teacher, so to speak, to see how well everyone does. And then for you guys also from your end, especially since no grading involved and you don't have to wear a dunce cap or anything like that. And there is no such thing as a wrong answer. The only wrong answer is basically the one you didn't even try to answer if you want to participate. Of course, no one has to participate at all. I just love the comments, and as does everybody else. So, yeah, chime in with a comment. No participation needed. But if you do participate, there's no chastisement over a wrong answer. Don't ever be afraid to join in just because you might answer something wrong. That is, no one is born with the all the correct answers, and I certainly mess up as myself as well. As Miss Barbara calls me out and says that I was probably right to forego last week's trivia altogether because of the way my question was worded. We'll get to that in a minute. So let's start off with a comment so we can get to the incredible inventory I have for you today. All right, so let me see here. Finally, I was getting worried. Mr. Anthony in Massachusetts has returned. He says, Hello, all. Been a while. Been traveling, but it's good to be home. Enjoyed the show. I liked the What Am I trivia. I will show you the pieces and tell you the answers in the end. So we'll just go through everybody's answers so you get to hear them without knowing whether they are right or wrong at this point. So left to right, if everyone can remember what they look like. Sphene, topaz, stibnite, and the last one, he says, this one is tricky. Maybe opal. And a maybe opal, that's an answer. That counts as an answer, right or wrong, either way. You'll find out what I mean by that. Eyes down. All right, good to have you back there, Mr. Anthony. Good to see you're okay. And I hope that in your travels, you kept your eyes down to the ground. You never know what's to be found. We have from Miss Jan. Miss Jan says, hi, Shawn. So glad I didn't miss your show. I'll just start with the first gem, and my guess is a sphene. Okay, that's 2 sphenes on the first one. And I thought that was going to be a difficult one, so we'll just see how that goes. The last one looked like an opal, but because of the glitter inside, I guessed it was fake. But anyway, the second crystal, if you plan to sell it, I want it, just because I love crystals like that. Please. You don't even know what it is yet. It could be something really, really expensive. After all, I haven't put it up for sale yet. Must be a reason I'm keeping it. Having a rough day today. 1 year ago already was the day my man passed away. It was Dennis, if everyone remembers. So yeah, not a great day, but while waiting for your show, I was going through some boxes from my dad's house, and I found a bunch of artwork my dad did about the famous A&W root beer drive-in that was down the street from my house. And wow, don't I remember those as well. Definitely. Not sure if he was advertising for them because that was his business before driving a school bus. Anyway, I remember driving past it and happened to look over and saw my dad eating outside. I pulled up to a parking lot across the street and had to say hi. The joy he had on his face as he was loving his ice cream float just warms my heart still. I sat down next to him. I wasn't going to tell him he shouldn't be eating ice cream and ruin his day, but he said, don't tell your mother. That still makes me laugh, so I thought I'd share it with you, as you have fond memories of your dad too. Anyway, that's all I have for my guess for trivia. Not a guess, it was an educated answer you had. Please remember, if you plan to sell them, I get first dibs on the second one, but you didn't even try a guess on the second one. I think that should have been a prerequisite. Great memory about your dad. And, you know, I just, July 16th was 2 years since my dad had passed away. Of course, he was 91, but he was together mentally, still could walk, physically, and was sharp as can be up until the day he passed away. So, yeah, I'm glad I didn't get to see him go through the battle my mom did 30 years ago with a 3-year battle with cancer. And having thought she had won it, it came back, and she lost it, the battle, the second time around. I have a book that she called Daily Word. It was a Christian-based book on daily uplifting stories. And in having that book, I actually see her handwriting, which is absolutely exquisite. And she could do calligraphy. She could cursive write backwards. She did it for us children. And mostly, you know, like, because we like to see it so much, so we should be doing it on our birthday cards and other cards that she'd give us, to where we'd have to run to the mirror and hold it up to the mirror and to be able to read it. To this day, I could only print the parochial school I went to, the nuns, I was the only one allowed to print my term paper in 8th grade to get out to graduate. And so in 8th grade, believe it or not, I was 13. I did it on opal. Yep. And I cursive wrote it, and the teacher could not read my cursive. Well, she knew about my cursive, so I was the only one that she actually said I could print mine. She still couldn't read my printing. So I had to, she actually called me in special time, gave it part of my lunch. I had to read my term paper about opal to her, and then later saw the grade. It was an A+. Do you expect anything less? My favorite gemstone, opal, it was my mom's birthstone, my son's birthstone, and at 13 getting a A+. So it was a, I remember, I will never forget that. I wish I had that term paper still somewhere. That would be really neat. I think that would be really neat. I can still picture the grade I got on it and everything. But so my mom's writing was amazing. So in this daily word book, or in the side notes, her handwriting, where she added her own comments to each daily passage that there was. And it was a long time before I could even open the book and look and see her writing, and then know and could read her daily struggles. And you know, she really, really wanted to live. And she only, she passed away younger than I am now. So that's kind of hard to take, but yeah. So enjoy your loved one every day that you can. So I feel there for you, Miss Jan. So she writes on. I really don't care what it is. That's as far as the second crystal. It sparkles and makes me want it, and it's from you, meaning me. Thank you so much. Oh, the lamps came in on Friday, and just as I suspected, are quite nice on my nightstands. Love them, and you. Hugs to you and the Raven. I knew her as Kimberly, but blessings to you and the Rock family as well. Ciao, Miss Jan. Yeah, but for many different reasons, she is the Raven to me, and but of course, in other shows and around here, she is known still by Kim or Kimberly, and goes. Yeah, she'll answer to anything as long as it's polite. Miss Cindy in Pennsylvania says, hello, Rock family. Wonderful show, Shawn. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Got lucky today. Noticed I had a fuel line leak on my SUV yesterday. See, anybody can write in about anything. We all love to hear each other's trials and tribulations and the happy times or a positive moment. Let's listen to this and see how it turns out. Noticed I had a fuel line leak on my SUV yesterday. Called the garage today. They said to drive it in. Nope. Don't need a fire under my car. Had it towed and didn't expect to hear anything till later this week. Dreading it cause I was thinking fuel pump up to $2,000. They called 4 hours later, and I had a pinhole in the fuel line that they would patch, as the line itself was fine other than the pinhole. Woohoo! Under $200. Way to score. That means since your mind expected you to have to pay all this other money, let's say not $2,000, $1,000 you've been okay with, well, seems like a good enough justification in the money saved for it to be spent on treasures of the earth. Yep. That's what I think. So, trivia on the first one. Olivine. That is a good answer. Olivine. Herkimer diamond on the second one. Maybe because of the termination. On the third one, which had been called the stibnite. Black tourmaline, which we know is shoral. Yeah, could be. It does have that crystal form and the striations. And number 4, aura quartz. Very good answer on that one. I like the answer on the aura quartz. It does have that look to it. And, you know, you're hitting on the synthetic end of it. And as was Anthony's answer as a tricky one. Maybe opal. I like that maybe part. Have a wonderful week. Cindy in South Central Pennsylvania. Then she adds, now this is something I had to laugh to because maybe a lot of you maybe know what it is, but this one went, watching Itchy Boots on YouTube. Nora Lee is on her motorcycle traveling the world. I am currently watching 2 years ago when she went from Patagonia to Alaska. Yeah, I've always wanted to take a trip like that. Ooh, what a haul that was on a motorcycle. Oh, it makes my derriere sore just thinking about that one. I'm currently, yeah, okay, wow, volcanoes, active and extinct, native gold mines, Mayan ruins I never knew existed. The landscapes and geology are beyond my vocabulary at times. She is a geologist, therefore always educates as she explores and seeks out the unusual phenomenons. Highly recommend. Well, I will have to look that up and see what that's about. Very interesting. And that'd be a cool kind of job to have. Miss Gabby chimes in, says, hello, one and all. Another great show. Thank you. Some very cool coral specimens. And I think that epidote is one of the more aesthetic ones I remember seeing. Exactly. And that one is why it was in our own collection. And I spotted it amongst some other rocks. I think she was trying to hide it from me. Yeah. The raven has a way of doing that. But also, things could get like put somewhere on a shelf and not be noticed for a while. Oh, if you only knew. Let's see. Speaking of gravel driveways, I will be going driveway mining when I get back to the cabin. That is a great term, driveway mining, because that is what I explained last week on the dirt roads that I lived on. And I knew where the material was coming from one of two quarries right down the road from where I live now, or the other one in town, which is incoming. Right across from the hospital, and it's a giant quarry that you can see from the air, but you would never know it was there otherwise. It's kind of really bizarre. And you can just, anytime you see a quarry wall, and if you see different coloring, like if you see red or yellows, those are, oxides. So there could be metal oxides that are bleeding out from that area. If you see a uplifting or folding in the geology, that can mean good things at the some of the zones that come together. Or if you just see a big shiny white pegmatite outcropping, then that's the one to explore. You just never know when you hit a quarry, and it'd be neat, like I said last week, if I knew somebody that had a quarry or could get me into one. I would just love to, what they crush up, what we don't even see, because things get blasted, it's scooped up with a big bulldozer, dumped into a dump truck, run up to the crusher, and that's it. And all we get to see it is as the crush and run driveway gravel. And I have found everything from incredible little druzy quartz crystals, calcite crystals, the moonstones. That is something, obviously, from what I told you about Lake Lanier and the outcropping I saw when the lake was down there, and the other moonstone pieces I've discovered and found around the county. It obviously geologically lends itself to moonstone deposits. And as good a quality moonstone as, India, that kind of thing. It's a beautiful, gem grade, can be found in the crush and run gravel. So yeah, I like the idea of driveway mining. And since I think I know where your cabin is, at least in what part of the county, definitely stand a chance. So let's, so after years of staying there, recently have discovered some large quartz chunks with beautiful pyrite that look so much like gold, I will be doing a streak test that a friend recommended for me to do. Not expecting gold, but the anticipation is fun. Also, I've seen some rocks embedded along the edge that remind me very much of the garnet schist pieces you have found on your property. I will have to take a chisel and hammer next trip to dig them up. Absolutely dig them up and send me pics. If you find quartz and you actually have pyrite with it, if it's just in the gravel, that's one thing. Then, it came from a quarry. But if you actually have an outcropping of quartz and it actually has pyrite in it, that is what the original miners would look for. And then it's called a prospect hole. Sometimes they would be registered with the, at the time, you're talking about the mid-1800s, with a geological department. A lot of times it would just be crudely marked on a map and it'd be listed as, not as a mine, but as a prospect. Now, later, as if it turned into something, it would be more so. But I have seen prospect holes, mine shafts dug that go back quite a good ways, chasing pyrite and quartz, hoping that it will turn into a profitable enough gold deposit, because one is often associated with the other, hence the name fool's gold. And it's a huge, easy way to tell the difference between the two, without having to do a streak test. But if you can access a piece of it to do a streak test, yeah, that's one way to do it as well. But color or brittleness or malleability is really easy, especially with Georgia gold, which is known to have a high percentage of gold. Unlike Alaska gold, which can be 80% gold, you can't really bite on it and leave an impression like so many people have the image of someone doing, like at Sutter's Mill. But California gold is a little bit higher percent. Georgia gold is one of the highest percentage of gold, where yes, you can actually bite into a nugget of Georgia gold and your teeth would leave an impression. Do it with pyrite and you'll wind up with a miner's smile. I'm not going to do it. I'm embarrassed enough. I need teeth. But yeah. Or was it biting on those uranium ores too much there? All right, so take the chisel and hammer. I'm very excited to see the anhydrous sapphire coming up. Yes, I'm talking about it. I'm looking at it, and I actually have it with me. And I looked at it before the show started, and I saw the bubble came back to its place, and I thought, oh, good, I'll keep it right there. And I tilted it one little way, and it disappeared. And there's nowhere for it to go. You have to see it. I don't want you to see it till I can show you the bubble, because it is in what appears to be the leftover cavity of maybe a calcite crystal. And then fluid having also then gotten in. It was probably actually the fluid that dissolved away the calcite in the formation somehow. So that's how you get two-phase inclusion. So you have a gas and a liquid. Now, three-phase, you can incur in emeralds, and that's where you get a solid matter within a bubble, within a liquid, or just the two side by side, which I've had before, not just in emeralds, but in some other things. So those are really neat to find. This bubble in this sapphire, I've never seen it in hydro sapphire. And for a sapphire, and it's a star sapphire, and it's a blue star sapphire, if nothing else, you should see the other crystals of other minerals that are in it. I think there's a couple apatite crystals that are negative crystals. They're just the cavity of what was left there. So anyway, we're getting close for me to offering it, and but I want to learn more about it. I want to learn where that bubble goes and how to get it back quickly. It seems to always come back on its own if I leave it alone. So we'll see. Okay. Trivia, right or wrong, answers on the first three popped in my head pretty fast, but my first thought on number 4 was, is that real or natural? Question marks. Answers, sphene, again for the first one answer. Second, topaz. Third, stibnite. And fourth, a porcelain composite. Okay. Thought feldspar jasper was a real stretch, but you never know with Mother Nature. No, you do not. Till next week, hugs. Miss Gabby, hugs back at you, and a love to all of you. This is from Brad. We haven't heard from Brad in a while. To Shawn, the Raven, Asif, Dave, Latif, the Christie Keeper, Gem Shopping crew, and the whole Rock family. I think you got everybody there, Mr. Brad. I hope all are well and are getting better. Hey, Shawn, I noticed you were wearing your redhead fishing shirt on the last show. Yep, and today, just for you, Brad, I don't know if you can see it, but I wore another shirt. Yeah, you can probably see it, with trout on it. I was wondering if that is your lucky fishing shirt. You never know when you might catch a big one. Rock hounding and fishing have a lot in common. There are elements of skill, luck, and destiny. And there are stories about the trophies and the ones that got away. Yes, there are. Like the gold that's sitting in the bottom of the creek that I found that got away before I could get it. I think you are currently in the release phase of catch and release with your mineral collection. Thanks for releasing some of your trophies for those of us who are novices. You show us where to fish for good deals. You show us the difference between keepers and leverites. Thank you, Brad. That's very complimentary. But so many of you know so much. It takes a lot to keep up with all of your knowledge that you've been gaining. Matt's knowledge, your knowledge, Barbara's knowledge. I mean, all the regulars here, you guys are sharp. So I like his catch and release because he's right. I have caught for 52 years great deals from my jewelry stores, estates, and now you see how many stones I've had that were project pieces that I personally had in my collection because in my mind, I was going to have time to create something with all these items. You're going to see more today. And I realized, I guess, when COVID hit me and I got so ill from that, and then it was so long before I could really feel good enough to get back at the bench that my back had gotten worse, my hands had gotten worse. There was only a limit. Age was going to be my limiting factor as to how long I could work the bench. Now, gem cutting, I still love to do that as a great challenge, and it doesn't take quite so much physically out of me. And but I'm going to show you guys something today in a little bit here when we fire up all the lights that comes with a story. And I still do high liability, high end stone setting. And I'll tell you the rest of the story about that in a moment. So let's go on. Brad, great term, catch and release by way of what I have. Okay. Question. Stone number one. Looks like a sphene. So we have lots of sphenes on that first one. I like that. It is my observation that a sphene is one of your favorites. That's amazing that you have observed, because you don't even know, going back years, when I had a 1,400 carat, incredibly green sphene crystal. Beautiful form. And I don't know who wound up with it, but I did sell it. It didn't sell right away, but it was massive. It was incredible apple green color. Now, of course, it was an opaque to translucent piece, very translucent. So, actually, it wasn't opaque. It was all translucent, but it wasn't transparent of fascinating quality, but it was a great crystal form. And it was so large, I'd never seen anything like that before. So yeah, sphene is one of my favorites. And I have sold lots of cut sphenes. I've cut sphene of all different colors. And yeah, I sold a lot of sphene back in the live shows, lots of sphene. So you're right. It's also one of Raven's favorite stones as well. And one of the rings I actually gave her was a ring from the 50s, and I had taken out, it had a synthetic Lindy star in it, of all things, and took it out and put in a faceted sphene. Well, let me tell you, from her own experience, now, granted, she has a massive amount of jewelry, some incredible, beautiful pieces, and just a lot of fun silver jewelry with, nice, unique stones in them. But she does something in the jewelry box. Like, she doesn't think of hardness, and the harder stone goes next to a softer stone. Well, I don't know what she did with his fiend ring, because it is all scratched up on the top. And I thought, well, I keep telling her, well, just wait till you knock a bigger chip out of it, and I'll take it out and recut it for you. And she's wanting me to recut it now, because she's just going to do the same thing to it. So sphene, even though the hardness is in the range of like tanzanite kind of thing, keep that in mind. Tanzanite, sphenes, all that, they can easily be scratched up by other items easier, like more like a zircon. So zircon has a decent enough hardness, but it's very brittle. It doesn't, hold up well. Let's say in the jewelry box, bumping up against everything else. Okay. Let's see. So now I'm going to cast my votes in the trivia contest as follows. Number 1, looks like a sphene. Number 2, I am going with imperial topaz on this stone, since the termination does not look flat like a morganite. A morganite would look cleaner, I would think. Number 3, stibnite, silvery gray, opaque. Number 4, dare I say fake opal, since there was no play in the color? Dare you? There you have it. You have set the hook and reeled me in on this game. I'm glad to see I pulled you out with the game and got your comment. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. May you find such blessing. I like that. Miss Gabby chimes in. Woke up this morning and remembered something called confetti quartz. A treated version of the stone is the closest thing I have seen to what's in that earring. Plus, forgot to withdraw in other email. Okay, confetti quartz. I like that answer. Miss Barbara in Brooklyn. Hi, Professor Shawn, Raven, GSN crew, and the whole Rock family. Nice long tea time program. Managed to snag the newest Koroit opal to wire wrap in copper for my metal pendant tree. Wow, that's going to be a gorgeous tree. Make sure you take a picture of it, and I can share it when you are done. Good to demur on the trivia prize. Oh, one of those dollar words. Yes, you were right. Your second question asked for minerals. I had to go back up and look to make sure that you caught me out on the wording. And I guess I was too tricky for my own good. Your second question asked for minerals, and granite is not a mineral, but a rock made up of 3 or more so minerals. Like you had to put that in parentheses and tell me. So we get to try again with a challenging, what is it? Yes, I'll teach you. But you're right. I did say minerals, and granite is not a mineral. It is a rock, but it's composed of minerals that could be REEs. Number 1. Looks like a silicate, and due to color, I choose Heliodor cutting rough. Okay, that's a different answer. But you could go for the ultra rare and do Stibio tantalite. Nah, you wouldn't do that to us. No, you're right. I wouldn't do that to you. Number 2, orthorhombic chisel crystal shape says anglicite, which is a lead sulfate. Yes. It would be, but I haven't showed much anglicite around here, if much of any, so I wouldn't make it that hard. Number 3, metallic stibnite. I thought number 3 was going to be a tough one. And number 4, Spencer opal. Looks like a handle on one of the nap knives you sold. Kind of tutti fruity pistol grip material for an over-decorated Colt revolver. Fun brain teasers. No such thing as an over-decorated Colt revolver. Not if you're a fast gunslinger or just like fancy guns. Well, Debbie is certainly bringing longed-for rain to the East Coast. Of course, when we prayed for rain, nobody thought to specify how much rain, and God has a perverse sense of humor. So call out the lifeboats. Too many are finding out why the lowest level of their house is referred to as a sacrificial floor. Yep, I've had my experience with flooding, but it came from frozen pipes. Yikes. Stay dry all. Miss Barbara in Brooklyn. Okay, so we won't go back over the answers. Each one of you will know who got the right or wrongs. Let's give you a look at the four different pieces I put up for the What Am I? Okay, so here we have, this is the first one that everybody was thinking a sphene crystal. And let me show you, because I think I put some light behind it. And that is absolutely the color of sphene crystals in general. The yellow, yellow and the green. Only time I've ever seen that yellow and the green like that, you know where? It is on the Madagascar demantoid or androdites, where you had part of the crystal being green and the other part being more yellow. But we'll explore that a little closer. Now look at this one. Here is that, yes, that angled termination and some other beautiful crystals on it as well. And you can see that color. Then here is this silvery gray, and the ability, here's really what helps give it away, for the crystal to turn or grow in a bent angle instead of angular. And then this one. Look at that. Okay, so let's start with this one. You knew I had to throw in something a little funky or tricky or different. And for all of you that either said maybe opal, fake opal, confetti quartz, all of that, all of those, you are correct. This dates back to the 1950s or so, even to the 40s. Remember, opal was one of the last gemstones that they tried and did end up successfully, to a point, even though it's easily distinguishable, to make lab-grown synthetic opal, such as in the Gilson opals. Before they did that, this is literally confetti or glitter or whatever in some type of resin. And this is what they used for a opal look-alike. I won't say it's synthetic because it's not. It's just an opal look-alike. So I accepted anybody that said anything about it being fake or confetti quartz, as in Miss Gabby coming in there and saving it at the end. She said confetti quartz with the caveat of it being a closest version to genuine confetti quartz as the synthetic version. So she is absolutely right. That would be pretty much a good explanation of exactly what it is. What it was called then or what it's called now, I don't really know. But synthetic confetti opal or something or quartz would be just a fine answer. There is a quartz that a lot of people are calling confetti quartz, mixing it up with strawberry quartz, and then thinking those inclusions in genuine strawberry quartz are lepidocrocite. They're not at all. When you see those flaky type of inclusions that are red, it's hematite. Sorry to disappoint everyone that thinks they always are something else. Let's go backwards. Everyone that said stibnite, you are absolutely correct. That is a unusual antimony ore. I think it's just antimony and sulfur making it up. And I've had some beautiful, beautiful clusters of this material before, and this was just as Raven would call it, a crumb that had come off of one. And so I saw it and I thought, well. So I thought this would be one of the hardest out of all of them. And I think, almost everybody got this correct for being stibnite. So wow, well done there. Now, this one is an amazing, amazing example for what it is. It is a Topaz Mountain Imperial Topaz from Utah. And it is really amazing because these crystals, they are quartz, but then there's something else. There is sanidine. Most of them are sanidine, which is a potassium feldspar. And you can, with a loop, look at these and look at the termination of them and see that they're not the ones that aren't quartz and the ones that are sanidine. As a matter of fact, this one sticking up right there, you see, is exactly what I'm talking about with the termination, because it doesn't have 6 sides. It's actually flat. So Then there is another really cool mineral in here called pseudo-brookite. Now, Greek for pseudo means false. So it means false brookite. It means it looks similar to brookite, but isn't brookite. And what it contains, it is these black crystals that are in here. And since the Thomas Range is not known to have shoral tourmaline inclusions in it, then it leaves, here they are, and there is some acicular or just straight needle inclusions in it as well. And so let me just, well, I'll do this something else in a minute. We'll finish this. Okay, so then getting to the first one. All right. Let me see if this helps out anybody a little more as to figuring out what this could be. If you look at this, and if we let me see if I can get, thank you, sir, the lighting right. There we go. Let me see which side faces best for what I'm trying to show. There it is, right there. Right where the green is, where the yellow come together. Or let me actually, hold on here. Let me put this right down here and my tweezers. Okay. If you look, you can either look at this shape here where you can see a hexagon forming there, but more so right here, you can see the chevron. So a six-sided crystal is going to have these particular obtuse angles and very indicative of corundum, where you have the zoning that is in those exact chevrons. And that's why even the chevron gasoline sign, that's how you can always remember what it's supposed to look like. Or a sergeant's stripes in the military. Those are called chevrons because they're the same exact angle. So you can see where the zoning comes up and back down like that. When you see that kind of zoning, then you are talking about a crystal of corundum. Look at this crystal, though. It's a beautiful crystal, the green and yellow. And then on the outside, you can see additional crystalline faces. You can actually see a crystal shape here. It looks like there's actually a couple crystals that have formed together in this piece, one being yellow and another being uniquely green. So answer to this one is, it is sapphire, or corundum would have been acceptable as well. Okay, now, thank you, sir. Let me just put this right here. I'm going to show you something real quick, a little lesson here. All right, Dave, we can just go right down here in front. I am going to put this topaz in and float it like I've shown before. This is how you determine, obviously, if I put my magnet to this piece. Topaz, by its nature, is completely diamagnetic, meaning it is inert. There is no magnetic pull. There's no attraction. There's no drag. It's not going to pull it across. You can't do anything with it compared to like garnet. But the way to tell the lowest amount of iron possible that can be measured is through floating the piece, because it removes all the drag resistance that that it being on any solid surface would have. So now let's use our magnet and see if we can get any kind of response. And we can pull this anywhere we want it to go to a certain point. I noticed that there is actually a stronger pull in one direction than another. And I think we we hit bottom. There we go. And you can see that the magnet, the N52, which is a neodymium magnet, is what you need to use. A regular household magnet will not give you these kind of responses because it is not powerful enough. Now, neodymium also is one of those rare earth elements, and that is important because for car batteries, etc. And you can see, now you see how it's easier from one end than it is from the other, and I'm going to show you why. Now, what is, if it's inert, and quartz is inert, in other words, not magnetic, you can see it is pulling this across. And you can see now also the black inclusions in it, those darker inclusions in it. And from this end, this is how you can measure really low percentages of iron that may, are not part of, you see from a certain side how it reacts stronger than another side. So what is causing that? Well, it is a mineral that I have never featured before. It is called pseudobrookite. You have heard of brookite. Brookite is a polymorph of rutile, just titanium dioxide, except in a different crystal form. Well, pseudobrookite, meaning false brookite, is titanium and oxygen, except it is, the chemical formula is Fe2TiO5. In other words, there is, thank you, sir, two atoms of iron that make up, added to the titanium. That gives you your iron content, which gives you the ability to definitively say that is pseudobrookite. You know why? Because I went to the mine information for that Thomas range and topaz, and none of the topaz locations that were found with rhyolite, it's not the same geological formation for tourmaline to be found as well. So shoral tourmaline, something that could be confused with, was not on the list as a choice. So in going through the choice, the only item that is in the list of the minerals found along with the topaz is pseudobrookite. And pseudobrookite by itself, and some of the finest pseudobrookite specimens in the world have actually come from these deposits. So that is a way and how you can end up in a crystal like this, figuring out what everything is. So the black crystals in there, pseudobrookite. And the white crystals, there's a few quartz in there, but most of them sanidine. And that has to do, again, with what's available and has been found at the mine. And then by looking at the crystal system and comparing them, and it matches up. So there we have it. This is Australian greenish yellow fine unique sapphire that I might sell. Topaz from the Thomas Range of Utah. Stibnite from China, I believe, and then this fake confetti, whatever you want to call it, but back in the 40s and 50s, it was probably the hot stuff to go. Okay, let's put these up. I'll be right back with the star of the show. All right, so wondering who the winner was after that? Well, each of you know what your answers were and who got what right. But when it came down to who got the most right, it was Brad. Brad, take a look at your incredible win. This is an amazing specimen of Democratic Republic of the Congo, so DRC, Republic of the Congo. Look at that. That is a really unique formation with additional malachite in there, and then along the edge you can actually see how fibrous malachite forms. You think it looks botryoidal from above, but when you actually split, let's say do a cross section of them, you can see these fibrous type crystals, and what makes those up is those fibrous needles all coming together. This other side, I don't know which is the front, which is the back. This is an amazing, amazing display of different malachite formations. A little bit of everything in here for you. So well done. Good job. Good win there for you. Look at that. That's beautiful. That really is. Wow, that's a great way to showcase it right there. Okay, there you have it. All right, now I'll be back with the start of the show in just a moment. One of the rarest crystals that goes under, appreciated, and that is goshenite. Oh, let's see. Make sure I gave you, it is 1192624. 1192624. There we go. Now that might make a little bit more sense. Yeah, this happens to be facet grade. This is Namibian goshenite, rare collector's crystal. And let me show you. Look at the size of it compared to my fingers, and then the clarity. When you look past the surface, like right through there, that I could see there was no inclusions. You never know until you polish the sides. But would this be something you cut? Well, absolutely. If you want to cut a huge, giant, rare, unique goshenite, which to a faceter is very tempting to do, you can see a little bit of needle of, most likely, that would be shoral tourmaline, possibly. You'd end up, there's 12 karat here with at least a 6 karat stone, especially the way this is. You could probably get a better recovery than that, because there's nothing except the ends it's all cuttable quality. But again, it's also a rare, unique crystal of clear goshenite, named after Goshen, Massachusetts, of all places, where there was a deposit discovered. So quite unusual in regards to that. And let me just show you again against a white piece of paper just how white this is. And you can see that you're talking about a colorless. Look at that. That is true colorless. There's not a faint tint of blue, nothing. That is really rare. And remember, we learned about idiochromatic and allochromatic. Beryl is allochromatic, meaning it gets its colors from outside impurities in its purest form. Without outside impurities, its natural color is clear white, what you're seeing right here. And that is so rare. The value really needs to express the rarity of it, because a clear goshenite is so much more rare than an emerald is, than a morganite is, than a aquamarine is. Yet those are priced so much higher in the market. In the end, when you facet it, someone's going to look at it and say, oh, they wouldn't know the difference whether it's a piece of quartz. Kind of like when you wear an aquamarine and someone, if they said, oh, isn't that a nice blue topaz, might give you the same effect if you're wearing a goshenite and someone says, oh, that's a nice, pretty quartz, something to that effect. So, as a crystal, it's easy to distinguish and know exactly what that is. And yeah, anyway, I have a fantastic opportunity on a very large, rare stone like this, and that makes it only $48. $48, and it'd be one of those that you would be hard-pressed to find anything even remotely of that kind of quality is the difference. Because one inclusion, can make all the difference. And that is just really beautifully clean, and sits up on its own, self-displays, can't get any better than that. Now, while we're right here and have the lights here, I just want to show you, since I mentioned I would, that project that I had worked on this week, and got held up a little bit because in this shared prong situation, Now, this is the job I told you that I was setting for the founder of Gem Shopping Network. So on his really high-end, difficult, expensive stone setting jobs, lucky me, he comes to me to have them set. And in doing so, I actually set the stone, all went well, but a stone fell out. Took me 2 days to find it. Finally, after taking my shop apart, there was nothing left for me to do but sit there and ponder. Where could it have gone? Here is the ring. Look at that. I am only showing you so that if you ever wanted to see one of the finest rubelites ever that you will lay your eyes upon, you are doing so now. And actually with it moving adds a little bit of brilliance to it as well. So I sat there and I crossed my legs up and I was wearing my favorite pair of house slippers. I noticed the slightest, tiniest little hole. You know, I already had looked in it twice before. Then I got looking really closely. And since they were my favorite, I saw where I had worn a little tiny hole in the inner lining of it. And I thought, there are no way, the odds alone that the stone would end up falling in that little hole. But I had looked everywhere else. There was nowhere else to look. You know, I could feel it, but I didn't feel anything. I ripped my favorite pair of house slippers apart. The third layer down of cushioning. The third layer down. Don't even ask me how it got there, but there it was. I tore my shoe apart, still didn't find it, and all of a sudden looked down, and apparently from the last layer, it had fallen out of the shoe, and there it was. And I had never been so thankful. I'd used the prayer my mom taught me, of course, growing up, which was a parochial prayer, let's put it that way. And it went, "Dear St. Anthony, please come around. Something's lost and can't be found." Well, as a goldsmith and jeweler, I can't tell you how many times I've said that little ditty of a prayer since the age of 11. And most of the times it worked. This time it didn't. I was disappointed. But in the end, when I said, after this, I said, if I don't find it, I'm going to retire. And I actually told myself that. And I would have, because I made that, promise to myself that, in other words, I felt that age had caused something for it to go in that hole and life was against me and everything was terrible. Well, I found it. I had to rebuild the prong. So it actually wasn't my fault. So let me tell you, shared prong is where, let me just point it out, because here is a jewelry lesson, which you can appreciate and use at the other shows upstairs. So shared prong is where, like when you have two marquees and they come together and the point is of both are covered by one prong. And that's what you have. See these two marquees right here, and right in between the end right there is the single prong that covers the tip of both of them. And just like it visibly set, it is a beautiful way to do something, but it is not user friendly all the time. And if it's not done correctly at the beginning, then you could have problems in the end. Now, the outer prongs all have one prong over each stone. That's better because that's going to take the wear and tear. But it does make for an incredible mounting and an amazing, amazing rubelite tourmaline that you may get to never see something like that. Fantastic. And so I wanted to share my week and the moment with you. So needless to say, I had to take the rubelite back out of the setting, after I found the stone, put the marquee back in, tip the prong, and reset the stone. In other words, doubling my liability at setting that gem. I not only did successfully set it once, but twice. And here's the other thing, and this is just good to know as a jewelry buyer yourself. These center prongs, even though they were 18 karat, which is supposed to make them malleable and soft, well, it depends on the alloy. Remember, nickel is the whitening agent for white gold. Silver is the alloy commonly used to take 24 karat yellow down to 18 karat yellow. To make white gold, you add nickel and less silver. You can add as much of both of those you want and keep, as long as you keep 75% of the weight, gold, and keep 18 karat. So in this case, a higher percent of nickel was used, making the prong not as malleable, not as soft as it should have been. So I had to anneal. In other words, bring the temperature of those center prongs up to a light cherry color, and it softens the metal, because other than that, when I went to push the metal down onto the stone, there's a spring effect causing the prong to actually spring back up. And we're talking about nanometers here, but all the difference of whether the stone is tight or whether you snag your fingernail underneath it, or you know, catch fabrics underneath it and all. You want that prong all the way down on the stone, all the way across it and flush to do it right. So I actually accomplished that because that would have made the stone come up loose sooner. So there was a couple issues, fixed them all, and I thought that since normally you're used to seeing here, this is the kind of pink tourmaline you normally see in my show. This is what you might be used to right here, and but in others, that's one and the same, right? So there you have it. Now, onwards. I have next for you, there's so much great stuff. Item 119-2424. 119-2424. And this is another really choice item, and coming from a world famous deposit, the Brandenburg amethyst. There's many good things to talk about this. The first thing that you should notice is the fact that it is doubly terminated. In other words, it is not, it's like a floater. In other words, the crystal wasn't attached to matrix. It was able to grow and create a termination at both ends. And doubly terminated crystals are generally more valuable and much more rare. And the neat thing about this also is the two-tone nature of it. Now, as we spin this around, these also are known to have lots of different anhydrous. So your anhydrous chance is great. I did not fully check this out because I just didn't have time. You have to look through every different angle and moving it back and forth, and hope to see a bubble move. That's the only way you're going to be able to identify it. Okay, there is also additional crystallization in here. There is also some beautiful crystals of a second generation growth. So as we come in close on this, you can see that these, look at that, thank you, sir, perfect. Look at that, great job, Dave. Look at how well formed they are. So what looked like just a jumble of quartz is actually an incredible second generational growth of quartz that formed after the initial amethyst. Look at that down in there even. Wow, that is unique. Normally I've seen calcites before on these, on some of the Brazilian ones. Look at that. So yeah, now you might appreciate that a little more. And one more thing, let me show you from behind. Look at this. Look at this, the phantoms in it. Look at that. Thank you, Dave. Look at how well formed they are. And that adds a whole nother dimension to it. Now, this is how you would do it with backlighting, and then you take it and you tip it back and forth with magnification. See all these little bubbles? One of them, if you get one of them to move, like if I see one right now, I'm going up on the price. And that's what you look for. You don't know, because you don't know if that bubble is a bubble traveling in a liquid channel or not until it moves. Look at how beautiful that is in so many ways, depending on the angle you look at it. Look at the colors. Oh, also, look at the blue to purple. Amethyst is very dichroic. It really changes color. And you can see a little bit of that in the way it's the zoning is. So fun stuff indeed. Thank you, sir. And a wonderful, wonderful display item for you. Price on this guy, I have it a fantastic opportunity, of course, and making it only, wow. Let's see here. It looks like one of Shawn's super crazy good deals on this, and $44. Wow, only $44 on that. That is amazing, and I wouldn't normally say that, but the double termination of it and the larger size of it really adds a uniqueness that so many others can be similar, but they don't check all the boxes. So that checks the second generational quartz box, it checks the phantom box, it checks the doubly terminated box. So it's hitting all the high marks for what you want in a piece like that. Now, let me show you a item I have never, ever, because I actually had to add the type of stone it was to the inventory base because it wasn't in there. So I have never had one before. 119-2324. So let me just show this to you for a moment before so you get an idea without looking at the label that's in it. Look at that. You would maybe guess pyrite. Well, you'd be the closest to it if you did, because it's arsenopyrite. Arsenopyrite is the same thing as pyrite, except adding arsenic to the chemical formula. And in doing that, it completely changes the look of it, the color of it, its properties, and you don't see arsenopyrite nearly as often as you would other type of ore materials. Look at that. Now, the El Tahoe mine in Chihuahua, Mexico, that is a rare locality. If you go to try to find arsenopyrite, the El Tahoe mine would not be your first choice of where you would think something like that would come from. It is a rare locality. So it is an iron arsenic sulfide, and it's in this perky box that you can see by the coloring of it and by the label that it is decades old. And I know I've had it for decades old. I remember when I bought a whole bunch of these perky boxes in a collection, and this was at least 20, 25 years ago, and this came along with it. And so, since I didn't have one then, I held on to it all this time, and now I am passing it on. So how about this? For only a little bit of history you get, I actually like the way, look at the way they have it mounted up. I don't know if that's goop or what that base is, but yeah, I think it's just mounted well because it didn't come off and I could mess with it Shawn style and it still stayed on there. So a really, really neat, again, origin to this. Only $15. Only $15 because what was I going to charge for it? To me, it was certainly worth more than that to have it and enjoy it all those years, but to offer for only $15 in the end. So I bet a lot of you don't have an arsenopyrite represented. And so this would be called a thumbnail. This is one of the common ways of actually displaying thumbnails, is just like what you're seeing there with the label and all. It might have been in thumbnail collections previously, but for only $15 to add a new mineral to your collection. And it also is representation of the classic color you expect in arsenopyrite and the classic crystal shape as well. So now let me show you item number 119-3924. We have a little bit of everything for you today, and this will definitely be part of a little bit of everything when you see it. Check these out. And I tell you what, for people like Anthony, actually anybody, these are ready to go. Because all of you ladies out there, the reason why I didn't add expensive kidney wires to these is because, ladies, you have kidney wires that these will go on. Look at these opals and their jackets. So you can either put a diamond stud or a pearl stud through the hole at the top, or you can just loop these on to a kidney wire and have them dangle from a kidney wire. Look at that. Solid backs, 14 carats or 585 stamp there, which if you want to know how they get to that number, it's a fraction, 14 over 24. And it's funny, when you divide that number out, 14 over 24, the number actually comes out to 0.58333. And so why they didn't ever stamp 0.583, I don't know, because they stamped 10 karat 0.416. I don't know, but they always, they just rounded it to 0.585. But the fraction actually comes out to 0.583. But anyway, that's where they get it from a fraction, from 14 over 24. So look at these guys. This would work beautiful. Let me show it to you in my hand so you get an idea of the size of them. And they're certainly large enough, and the color in the opal is so strong that it would easily be noticeable from a distance away. So since we were talking about opal, a really neat, unique item that, again, the jackets would work great because, ladies, pearls, diamonds, I know you have all kinds of different studs that you can alternate, and opal goes with all of them because all the colors in them in an opal, and these are some really nice colors, and I like they were nice bezel set. You could put those in your jewelry box and not damage the opal, and meanwhile, protect them. I just thinking of the Ravens jewelry box. All right, price on these guys. When I weighed them and factored in the actual value of what a current gram of 14 karat is now. Price on these is only $77. And they're 1.3 grams. So a half carat of opal, if you want to subtract that, there's 5. Now you got to remember these numbers because they're really important. So remember, there's 5 carats to a gram. So they made that part really easy. So when you have a half carat, you're talking about if there is 5 carats to a gram and you want to convert that to a gram, then you're looking at a weight that is a tenth of a gram. Yeah. So let's say they weigh 1.2 grams of gold then, right? I think 14 karat, last I figured it was around $42 to $45 per gram. So right there you have like $50, $60 worth of gold. And the labor to have made those with the solid backs would have been really intense. So not even counting labor and opal, you're getting those for the value of the opal and the gold, and there's just really no reason not to get them for only $77. And believe me, because of that price, there's nowhere to go for me to sell them for less than that. So they will not be discounted from that. So grab them at that opportunity and you will not be disappointed. Okay, now 119-3424. This is an item that if I would have shown you last week, you probably would have done much better, even though saying sphene was brilliant. I didn't even think of that when, because knowing what it was and seeing it the way I saw it, I only saw it as a yellow-green sapphire in the What Am I? And there was no other, sphene did not come across to me, even though, yes, it looks so much like a sphene by way of the color. So let's take a look then at this item, 119-34-24. Now, I'm just going to let it sit there while I put these delicate opals up safely. And for you to take a look, because what you're looking at is a crystal you may never see again. Remember last week, that picture I showed you of the other, well, not only just the picture, but the stones. So I showed you the stones from Horse's Gully, I believe it was, in Australia that they came from. And they were alluvial. They were all alluvial. Really alluvial. In other words, they had worn in a stream long enough for some of the crystal shapes to be not even distinguishable anymore as crystals. This particular one doesn't come from that exact same place, but not too far away. This is from Arrawatta County, New South Wales, which New South Wales, of course, is still the same territory in Australia where Lightning Ridge is, and also where Sydney, the capital, I mean, not the capital, the big city of Sydney is. Of course, remember, Australia is gigantic. It's huge. So when I was there for 3 weeks in Australia, I never left the New South Wales territory. We got close to Queensland territory, but it never traveled there. There was enough to do, believe me, by way of mining and opals. All right. So it's kind of good that all the beauty, a lot of stuff is there instead of the northern territories or the western territory, which would be impossible to get to in the time frame that we had. Now, didn't get out to this particular mine, but I love Australian sapphires. Let me show you this. Look at this. Now, you see that chatoyancy across the surface? This is why it's been in my collection for so long. I fully intend, and it's still intended, and if it doesn't sell, I will probably not keep it as a crystal. I've enjoyed it as a crystal long enough. It has teased me long enough. That chatoyancy is what you look for a possible, look at that, star. For this to possibly be a star. Have you ever seen a yellow star sapphire? I haven't. Not even a kind of yellowish star sapphire. I just haven't. But yellow sapphires, yes. As a matter of fact, I'm going to flash one here just real quick. Look at that. That one may be coming up. I may be offering that one for sale, and I may be offering, just to give you guys, just let you know that Shawn's unique supply of fanciful gems has not run out. I haven't even really begun to. Let me just show you one. It's not for sale yet, but I just want to show you this, of how cool this is. Look at this. This is an incredible green crystal within a pink body of a gem. Sorry about that, Dave. My fault. Look at that. Here's what I want to show you. Isn't that neat? Is that not the neatest thing you've ever seen for a faceted stone? One of the neatest things you've ever seen. So there's more I need to figure out about this before I offer it to you guys. But it's items like this that I have collected over the years, and including this incredible. I have the blue sapphire with the anhydro in it right here next to me. I'm going to check it and see if that bubble shows up. Maybe I'll show it before the end of the show. Okay, let's look at this. And let me show you from the side why this is so exciting to me, because the coloration, look at that. Look at that. And that is a incredible true yellow. There is a little bit of blue. I saw a little bit of a streak of blue. This banding isn't solid. In other words, it's not like it's a solid color. I think it is actually more oxidation from the edge, from I don't know, geologically, something happening there, but there it is. There's the blue right in that corner. You can see it. There it is, blue, blue, green. Actually, blue mixed with yellow creates the green, right? Oh, there we go, Dave. This is one of the strongest yellows in a potential star I have ever seen. Look at that color. Look at that color. Now, let me do one more thing. Let me look at it. Here we go for you. So, if I just did a high dome cab, I could work within the very top part of it, staying above that first dark layer, whatever it is. So if it's something that's going to hurt the look of the stone, there is enough above it that I can dome and be able to create a cab out of it without disturbing it. If I want to get into that layer, in other words, if I see that it's not going to affect the stone, then I have all kinds of other additional options. This stone, if you find out it doesn't star, it could still just be an amazing yellow cabochon sapphire. It also could be a faceted stone. I just don't know. Once you polish into the surface areas just to look and see what the clarity is. But you see the darkness there. That is a false darkness, because there you go. You can actually see through it. It just gets thicker because of it tapers like it does. This, it'd be a shame as a crystal to cut. But also, the temptation of a yellow star sapphire is so great that I could be throwing away dollars here by selling it at all. So you can see how beautiful the natural six-sided crystal form is to this even. So a real prize here for rarity. And now that you saw, I won't do it, but I did it at home. I did check it, and it does have a magnetic pull on water only. So with it not being fluorescent and having that pull, it tells me that there is a presence of iron in it. And remember, iron quenches fluorescence. So if you have something with iron in it, it's not going to be fluorescent. But I do think that iron has to do with some of the coloration in it as well. And more information later on that as you absorb color relative to magnetism and elements, etc. Let's look at item 1193824. Oh, thank you, sir. Sorry about that. Shows you how much I didn't really want to sell it. Yeah. Only, wow, $98. Only $98. And that is, yeah, I could be giving away a huge amount of value. And in its own right, just as it is, it's unique and rare, because in all my searching for pictures of a similar crystal, there just isn't any. That is a oddity for its clarity, shape, etc. But of course, that's why I've had it for so long. Only $98 on that guy. Now, let me show you something a little bit more you can relate to. Item 1193824. And this is a collection of tiger eye, but not just any tiger eye. If there is tiger eye here that is really nice quality, these two stones match basically for size and cut. So you have a matched pair of them. And then this is a beautiful color, a beautiful color. These are all natural color. If you heat treat these, you can actually heat treat them yourself if you want and turn them red. Sometimes though, it's a dirty brown red, you don't really know, and then it would be uglier compared to these and they'd be treated. Right now, these are all natural, and there's a couple different opinions about exactly what makes up tiger's eye. Some say it's kind of a pseudomorph of another mineral, but either way, it's been a stone around for a long time. This parcel, only $18. It's from the northern Cape of South Africa. Now, you're going to see there is tiger eye from all different places. Australia has some beautiful tiger eye. Thailand has some beautiful tiger eye, but none of it is as fine as the tiger eye that, to me, is from South Africa. It was originally discovered by a French ornithologist and traveler in 1784. The formation is from subparallel intergrowth of quartz and altered amphibole fibers that turn into limonite or crocidolite. So if you ever heard the term crocidolite used with it, that's where and how. So there's been a more recent opinion of what forms that, but I'll still go with the parallel intergrowth of quartz and altered amphibole, because I actually told you the new just another scientist's opinion of it, it would sound even more complicated than that does. So $18, the 4 stones. You have 26 carats there, and nowhere did I see anything priced that low by way of price per carat. Not even counting the fact that none of it was South African. It was all Thailand material, and this is just a much better grade, as you can see. Let's look at item number 1193724. And I can't believe that I actually could put together one of the largest collections of cameo tiger eye you will ever see right here in these 7 pieces. And I'll show this to you. Just let me put these away. Okay, look at these. These go back, you will find carved tiger eye with the Roman centurion theme. Going back a long time ago, they started doing this. And so you have everything from the double centurions, single centurions. I'm sure if I knew more about Roman history, even their headdresses and maybe the direction they face even might mean something different. I don't know. And I don't know how, I just know these are a state. I don't know how old they are, but I have collected them over time. And look at how beautiful they all are. And then let me get these last ones here. And that's why I say, to even have a collection of these, how fun is that? Look at that one. How fun is that, even if you don't do anything with them? They just line up and look beautiful as they are. So look at, there is 2 of them. Their helmets are different. And then let's see this one down here. So we have, there we go, Dave, thanks. A double, a single, but really incredible detail, a lot more detail than you normally find. Again, a double one, a lot of detail here. This, a little bit more simple, like you see some of the others, as well as this is. The one on the end, a lot of detail, double, which is a lot harder to carve. All right, so you get, you have the figure 8, you have the rectangular ones, you have the cushion, you have oval, and you have rectangular. And then this one, you have curved, which is fantastic for making a ring with. All right, so these are part of my collection, thinking that I was going to do something with all these one day. So now, maybe won't get to them all. I'm sure I saved 1 or 2 for myself in case I get a whim. Price on all of these, only $48. Did I give you the new item number, 1193724? Yep, there we go. 55 carat total weight, 7 stones. So $48, that's less than $7 a stone. It's also less, than $1 a carat. And these are carved. The cabochon ones, I saw most of the ones, $1.50, $2 a carat, and they were not for the South African, the Northern Cape, the good stuff, like these are, and they could have been treated. None of these have been treated. They're all natural color. And so only $48, and you can be the proud owner of a collection that each one is completely unique and different. And, it's one of those, if you set out to try to go to a big show, and your goal was to find 7 tiger eye centurion cameos, each one different from the other, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. This has taken decades of putting this collection together. So you can have it in one fell swoop, and a little history to it as well. Price on these, again, only $48. And what a fantastic one-of-a-kind collection you'll have. Now, let me show you 1193624. Now, this next parcel goes with my saying earlier about how the big goals I set for myself in collecting these gems, because I was going to do something with them all one day. Well, I am. I'm sharing them with you. As Brad would say, I caught them and now I am releasing them. Let me show you. This is a optical phenomenon collection. And boy, is it one of the cool ones. All right. Check these out. These are incredible. I have star sapphire, which of course you know. Black star sapphire. Really nice star. Look at that. That is some of the finest color Tanzanian cat's eye opal that you could ever want. And what an eye that has. And then look at these. They're a matched pair of cat's eye. And why? I can say just cat's eye. Because cat's eye chrysoberyl is the only cat's eye where if you just say, oh, I have a cat's eye, it means chrysoberyl. Any other stone, you have to complete it. In other words, in this case, cat's eye is a noun. In these cases, cat's eye is an adjective. You have to say cat's eye opal, or, cat's eye scapulite, cat's eye tiger eye, whatever. But not when it comes to chrysoberyl. You can just say cat's eye, and if you don't say anything else, it is understood to be chrysoberyl. That's how we work it in the language. Now, I'm looking at the color in these, and I check these if there's any chance of them to be cat's eye alexandrites, and they're supposed to be X% of color change before you can call them that. To me, they're a little different than what they just were underneath the other light I had, but we won't get into that far, because then I might feel like I have to charge you more for them instead of for this parcel. This is crazy, actually, especially with those 4 millimeters in the cat's eye chrysoberyl. The entire parcel, $38. Only $38. And the French word chatoyancy means shining like a cat's eye. All that in one word. Boy, we have to say shining like a cat's eye. All they have to say is chatoyancy. So anyway, that is where the word chatoyancy comes from, just like the chatoyancy in that yellow star sapphire, which isn't too far away. Look at that. And who knows, maybe it could cut a star yellow sapphire. But here is I have it. For a long time, I collected phenomenon gemstones. These are still some of that collection. Okay, let me put away a couple of things. I'll be right back. All right, I have something. Never know what's going to come next. Look at this, Zambian. Weeks ago, I showed you 3 incredible Colombian stones. And now I have been holding out, of course, on all kinds of different things. But this is different. This is a Zambian emerald, and it is native cut. Those other emeralds, they were Colombian gems, and of course, Colombian gems with the name Colombian comes also a status of them being well cut. They don't native cut Colombian emeralds for them to be recut elsewhere, but Zambia doesn't have a cutting force like Brazil has or like Colombia has. Colombia actually sends a lot of their stones to Brazil to be cut. And so with Zambia, a lot of countries have laws in place to where the stones have to be mined, and before they cannot be exported as rough stones to be cut elsewhere. In other words, which I can understand, they have to be cut to keep local the local indigenous people employed, and it only makes sense for them to do that. But now, if Zambia, this is an old stone, so I don't know how it is now in Zambia. It used to be that way for all the Tanzanites. They could only leave the country if they were faceted, and then they all had to be recut. And so that may have been the case during the time when this was originally mined. And what they do is just put a primitive cut on it and then expecting it to be recut later. When that happens, oftentimes oiling isn't an issue. Now, let me discuss oiling again, because remember I said before that I'd been trained by one of the best, a Brazilian, and I have all the equipment and proper items it takes. And it's not just, plunk it in oil. No, there is a temperature involved. There is a pressure or lack of involved. And I'm not going to give away all the secrets. There could be a vacuum pulled involved to pull the oil into the stone. Now, none of that matters if a stone, like in those Colombian stones, if you do not have an inclusion that breaks the surface of a gem, there's no way you're going to get oil into a stone that's inclusions don't reach the surface. There's not anything magical to it. There has to be a pipeline. There has to be a fissure. There has to be some type of tubular inclusion, like in tourmalines, that will allow the oil to penetrate a gem. If you look under, of course, high magnification at an emerald, and it has no external reaching inclusions. In other words, you do not see a little line on the surface. Let's see if we can find one on this one, which I know we can. If you do not find a surface inclusion, let's see, on the surface of this, wow, that's a pretty clean table. That's a good job in cutting. There is plenty of other little places on this that do reach the surface, but not as many as the inclusions give away. And that is because they don't reach the surface and there is no oil. I actually intentionally put this in, did a huge no-no, and put this in an ultrasonic with ammonia, which is the number one thing that pulls oil out of emeralds that I've had to re-oil for is women that will do house cleaning and forget that they have their emerald on, and it doesn't take long with ammonia sometimes, and all of a sudden what appears to be a huge crack or fissure to them is only the stone needing to be re-oiled. And if you can get the tweezers away from it, you can see, let me make this spin a little bit for you. It'll take that reflection out from the tweezers away. You can see a little bit more of the color. Zambian stones are known to have a bluer cast to them, as opposed to emeralds from, let's say, Colombia. And part of it, the reason is some other things that are involved. Colombian emeralds can be colored by chromium and vanadium, but mostly chromium. They're known, Colombian emeralds are still known to be the best in the world. Other regions, the emeralds are colored by vanadium more so. And in the case of Zambian emeralds, that would be more so the case. Now, how do you know? Well, under a Chelsea filter, there was a slight coloring, not pink, like you'll find in other emeralds that have more of a chromium. And it's not always 100% because you can get quenching elements. Remember, presence of iron greatly quenches and diminishes things like fluorescence. So in the case of the stone you're looking at now, it has no fluorescence, and yet I floated it on water like I showed you with that topaz. And floating it on water, I was able to pull it across the water in any direction I wanted to go with the neodymium magnet, telling me with no fluorescence and with their having a magnetic pull, well, vanadium is not a magnetic element. So the only thing that could be causing it would be iron. And iron would have the quenching effect on no fluorescence and could be present enough in what they call cryptic elements. In other words, elements that are present in the stone that affect the stone in no way unless it's fluorescence. But in general, most emeralds don't have that much fluorescence unless they're synthetics. Then there's so much chromium put in the man-made ones that they will glow red. And chromium also can have a magnetic component. So this was very, very slightly magnetic, non-fluorescent, and most likely because of cryptic iron. So small quantity of iron that doesn't affect the color and doesn't affect the fluorescence, but is present enough to create a magnetic pull. It is all this information that you take in and you write down if you have to, but you put it together and then you can confirm origins, you can confirm whether there's even oil present in the stone. And by me looking at this, I could say with a lot of certainty that there is either extremely minimal amount of oil at only the surface reaching inclusions, or it's completely natural. So, I'm certain enough by looking at it that I would say it's completely natural. Now, there is a temptation for me to try and oil it and see just how different or how much of an improvement it could be. Or I could leave it alone for someone to have a natural emerald the way it came out of the ground, including, look at that cut, including the native cut. It can be recut, it could be improved, but it's not like it really windows. Let me show it against my hand here, and you can see the size and the relative look, as we come away from it. Look at that. That's a great looking emerald. It's huge. And the way emeralds are, which are type 3 gemstone, in other words, found most commonly included, look at that. Look at the clarity to it. I mean, I could see where recutting it would and could help the brilliance. And again, native cutting also tells me that it's not a Brazilian stone. You don't see them like that. It's not a Colombian stone. It would have to be a Zambian stone. And you can see kind of the bluish versus the yellowish for the secondary color tones to it. And it is a magnificent representation for a stone with minimal or no oiling whatsoever. Like I said, I actually put it in an ultrasonic intentionally with fresh ammonia. And you don't want to leave it in there too long, of course, because you don't want it to create any additional fissures. So I actually took pictures of this before and after it because I thought about doing an oiling, which is what I do. If I oil it, I do it before and after just to see how much they're improved. And sometimes they're improved so much that it's kind of scary for it to make that big of a difference. But as you can see, I couldn't really find it, but you'll see it in person. There's several different inclusions that reach the surface. And this inclusion is still there. So when you see that also, that there's a surface reaching inclusion, but the inclusion is still visible, telling me that there's not been any oil that has been applied to it. So anyway, this is a fantastic gem if you like your stones natural. And of course, that's the way I am. So, and I'm cryptic iron causing that magnetic pull. And because again, no real Chelsea filter effect except to the minimal degree. So there's probably just a little bit of chromium and yeah, great stone, especially the price. Only $337. $337. I think that's about $125 a carat. And you know, here. Oh, which reminds me, I wanted to go back to those 3 Colombian emeralds that I had showcased and sold all 3 of them. There was barely anything that reached the surface. So especially that one that was super, super clean. Again, if you do not see any inclusions that reach the surface, but yet there may be inclusion in the stone, then like that one particular one, you can with confidence say that it is completely natural with no oil, which makes the price in emeralds go up. I just read one, as a matter of fact, day before yesterday, I read a article on valuation of emeralds without oil, and anywhere from 4 to 10 times the amount per carat on stones that are verified as having had no oil. Most of the you can usually hope for is minor oil. That or pay a lot of money for an emerald that has no inclusions and therefore nothing that reaches the surface and therefore, of course, no oiling. And on the other 2 Colombian emeralds, again, you may see inclusions if they do not reach the surface, or if you look at the inclusion and you can still see it beyond where it reaches the surface. In other words, the oil either didn't take or it hasn't been oiled, which is very much very possible. All those stones were very old. So just a little additional information on, it's something that of course is done, like heat treating is done to corundum. It's just, you expect it to be oiled when it comes to emerald unless it is GIA certified otherwise. Same thing with whether it's a heated ruby or sapphire, or unless the person you know you're getting it from knows a whole lot about how to tell the difference and shows you and why those conclusions are drawn that way. And this is why I give you the science side to this as well. Let's look at item after I gave you the price on that. Good. 119.35.24. Now, here is another real exciting piece, especially for us hometown Georgians. Graves Mountain. I have had treasures there from Graves Mountain, is because a good friend of mine was allowed to dig and mine there. And when he found a whole bunch of this beautiful lazulite in quartzite with pyrite, he sent it off and had it all, a lot of it, cut. I've offered different cabochones to you over different periods of time. And I think I might offer them again to all of you, because I haven't in a long while. And I think you have a greater appreciation for this material now than before. One particular cap was out of all of them, my favorite. And the reason being is, one, I love the pyrite and in the quartzite matrix, but mostly because of the crystal, the very well-defined crystals that you see that are visible, and the way it's cut. And more so than the front is on the back. Look at that. Look at that. That is a stunning example of a lazulite crystal. These were mined in the 90s, So, of course, Graves Mountain is a location you cannot get in with heavy equipment anymore. Very fortunate, and that I have the ability to have these stones and offer them. But this is the biggest that of them that were cut. They were all cut, calibrated in size, and this is one of the finest. And it because look at that crystal form. There's a perfect angle for a classic crystal of what lazulite looks like. Stunning piece. That is only $58. $58. And when you do the math for price per carat, that's like $6 a carat, which is an unheard of opportunity on a material that very few people have. Very few people. And I happen to be one of them with actually a large collection of these cabochons. So if you want some, I will offer, I may get the, all the calibrated selection sizes out and at some show here and offer them to you. But until then, I'm starting with the largest, finest first, and that is this particular stone that was my own, and it is probably like the only one that I will actually label as, I have it labeled as world class, because for what it is simply a true world class specimen of lazulite in quartzite. So you'll see that right there, world class, in the description, and certainly you can see that in the stone itself. All right, now let me show you another amazing item. And this, again, is something I am about out of. I bought this flat years ago. This is item 119-3024. And I have very few pieces left. It is because the color is so striking and shocking that there is few minerals like it that have such a bang for color. Look at that. I mean, wow. That is a true wow. And I love colors like that. Every particular side of this has mineral formations on it. And let me show you. There is, as we look at this, let me clean this off. When you look at these, the conocalcite and the forms that they take up close. There we go. Look at that. Look at these. When you're looking at Mindat, you know, the site I told you to go to, the pictures you'll see are going to be just like what you're looking at now. And I look at those pictures and say, oh, those are beautiful. Those are so, and I have the same specimens. They look the same way. You're getting to see them just like it. Look at that. Look at those little spheres of such intense color. Now look at this. See this? You have conocalcite on a stalk of, appears to be quartz. Let me get that right. Look at that. So, I mean, that's the kind of picture that would make like the cover of a Rock and Gem magazine. That's the kind of picture that you long to have the specimen that has something like that on it. Look at below it. That is amazing. Actually, I hadn't even seen that one before. And there is area after area on this that has so much to show. There is calcite, there is quartz, and there's something else. There is a fluorescent mineral on here that fluoresces a bluish color, whereas the rest of it doesn't, so it stands out. And the part that fluoresces is all this lighter blue that you see here. Now, some of the shininess that you see is gypsum that covers over the specimens, like you see that how gypsum, aka selenite, will do. There's calcite on this, but there's no fluorescence. Now, the part that does fluoresce, and so I didn't have room to write these down, but you may want to take note and look them up. Copper-bearing halloysite, Halloysite, that fluoresces, and I have a fluorescence in this material. Also, look at this. See this lighter color blue? It also forms in a botryoidal formation. That is my first, I'm not going to say guess, my first educational answer as to what it is. Look at these crystals. Let me just zoom in on these guys right here. This is such an exciting piece. If I can, where did they go? Hold on. Sorry about that, Dave. Let me see right here. Because there we go. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, look at the larger ones. This is what, I mean, this is like me in a candy store. That's looking at candy. I mean, that is apple, sour apple green. Look, there's no ending how beautiful this particular specimen is. And now all these, it's not going to fall apart. All these, it's just, these are the actual crevices and why you have this as such a strong ore body. Now, if you wanted to, you could easily put a screwdriver in there and pry that off and see what is on the inside and still be left with a nice specimen. But that would be up to whoever is lucky enough to get one of my last remaining items. And this is a made in the USA. The mine closed in 1945. So it was a big producer. They kept it open through World War II, and the war ended. They closed a lot of mines during that period after the end of the war because they just need all the war materials that they were before. The other one's corner rubite. So corner, as in the corner of a table, and then U-B-I-T-E. Corner rubite, and then Cornwallite. So that's why I always joke about if it ends in ite, I might know what it is. Anything other than that, I don't. Like computerite. Nope, no such thing as computerite. So I know nothing about computers. Cornwallite, named after Cornwall, England. Big mining center in England a long time ago. All right, so this specimen is just remarkable. It's more remarkable when you have magnification and look at it up close and in person. And price on this, I have it, there was actually gold there, all kinds of precious metals, all kinds of ores, $44. Only $44 on that. And again, once it's gone, it is gone. I'm not going to have any more of these, and I think only keeping one for myself, and that's about it. The Raven tried to keep a lot more, but I've been dribbling them into y'all. Okay, check this out. 119-2724. 119-2724. And this is something, again, that I have not shown you in a long time. Anything even similar. This is a piece that I actually sawed off of a larger piece, but it is some of the most outstanding labradorite that you're going to see, especially from Madagascar. Look at how big it is. Look at the size of this. Look at that. You have the rare purple colors. Look at that. So if you think that it only covered this and not down here, nope, just change the angle and boom. Now I'm going to show you why those striations are going this way and these in that direction. Look at that. So the only area without color might be this corner, but that's okay. Look at that natural opening right there. If you want to run something through it and hang it and dangle it from right there, nothing wrong with that. Look at that in the window, how beautiful that would be. Because you know why? You know why? Because look at this. The other side. Oh yeah, look at that. That's why this is, remember, it's an end cut, and the Raven's supposed to get all the end cuts from my saw. Well, I had to take this one back. This isn't what I meant. This is far too nice of a quality. Look at that. Look at the purples and oranges. And here is what is so cool about this. It is a rare crystal formation of plagioclase feldspar that labradorite belongs to. It's a type of feldspar. And you actually get to see, look at this, the crystal formation of it. And look down here, where these were going this way. Well, that's because you had an intersecting crystal across the bottom in this direction. You had two intersecting crystals. Look at that. So if it was nothing but a crystal face, fine. But the color comes all the way through. Look at that. This in a stand. Wow. Wow. So that is, again, why it is, been part of our personal collection, and it is remarkable. Remarkable piece. Okay, so gonna have one of those. Not too many end cuts for anybody else. They're just, yeah. Anyway, how about this? That remarkable piece is only, wow. It seems too inexpensive, especially with the end cut, but make it only $68. Only $68. And that is a amazing special treat in labradorite because, of course, the size of it, and if you actually cut cabochones out of it, think about how many quality cabs you could cut from a piece like that. Look at that. And then with the purples, the most expensive and rare color. And then it's actually this side that is more impressive because where have you seen feldspar crystals that large that is labradorite feldspar? And it shows that. So that's really the piece that, the reason why I'm so impressed with it is not this side. It's actually the other side. Okay, now, let me get to some things here before I drop them all. I have something I have not featured in a while for all of you. And let's look at item number 1193224. Take a look at this. Look at this. Thuya wood card holder. And you can see this is just a regular piece of whatever they call them. And I cut it a little short so it fits. So it'll fit any size card holders that you would be working with. It also could be a pen holder. You can see that you can also lay something across here. Pipe, in other words, like a pipe. You can see it's an angled interior. And the thing about Thuya wood is right here is, remember these little jars? And I still have some, and I'll still use some over time. But the product description is going to come with each of them. And the most important thing is the word Thuya and the aromatic oil that can be made from it. You can see with a high oil content. It smells so good. Thank you. It smells so good that it really has its own unique smell to it. And when I was in Morocco, which is where the majority of these, actually where they're made is in Essaouira. I don't know. You try to say that many vowels together. I think it has them all. A-E-I-O-U. Yep. Has every vowel in that name. It's a little town on the Mediterranean. I didn't make it there, but I made it to Fez and to Chef Shawn, which is, if you ever heard of the Blue City, it's a city that goes up the side of a mountain, and most all the old established in 1471, all the buildings are painted blue. It is several reasons why, but we won't go into that. But it's a neat little town. That one is. But these are lovingly made, these little, remember how I told you no two were ever alike. So there was really a lot of hand work done in not only creating the little, those little storage jars, boxes, whatever you want to, that's what Raven puts her little tidbits that she finds, her crumbs, she calls them. And she has crumbs in those little thuya wood boxes. Every time one I open up is another one full. She's been collecting crumbs. Some have nice crystals in them. Anyway, these are all hand fashioned. There's the town. You can look it up and see where it is. In the little boxes, there's no two alike. Now, these, of course, are similar, each and every one, but the workmanship is still the same. All hand rubbed. Look at that. That looks like some of the finest hand burl wood, walnut or maple, just except it's much more exotic and has a stunning aroma to it. All right, price on these. I only am limited. I only have a quantity of 3 of each. So if you need to take all 3, then that's okay. I won't put a limit on them because I need to sell them. But if you don't, then let others have them, get a shot at them because there's not going to be any more. Let me show you one other item. 119. Oh yeah, sorry. $16 each. Only $16 each. And this next item is going to be the same price, except this I only ever had just a few of, and I hung on to a few, and now I'm offering them for sale. This is a pen holder, and let's see, did I give you the item number? Was 119-3324, and again, very nicely done and all hand rubbed. Now, here's the thing that I thought was really neat. Let me see if this works. Yep. So you see the size of a Sharpie? It will fit something as large as a Sharpie in it. So whether you use them for pens, whatever you might want to come up with, a neat gift box for anything else that you want to give. Look at that. It looks like, again, another bird's eye type of wood, except so much more exotic and so smells so much better. It just, they have a wonderful, wonderful natural aroma due to the high oil content. So it's a great history. It's a great read just to read about the tree itself. Let's look at item number 119. Oh, sorry about that. Same price, $16. 119-2924. Oh, I only have 3 of those as well. So I do have, so if one is gone, there's 2 others if someone gets one, but there's only 3 total. So let's look at 119-2924. And this is, again, something I've been hanging on to. If you remember me telling you the story, heading through Arizona one time, we were changing drivers, and I got out, and it happened to be just north of the Petrified Wood National Forest. And when I got out there, literally, they had to cut through a huge deposit of petrified wood to make the road because there was petrified wood scattered just about on the side of the road. That's where your roadside collecting comes in. And man, did I find a bunch of petrified wood, but nothing quite of this quality. It was all smaller pieces. Check this out. Here's a piece of Arizona petrified wood, and you can start telling it's Arizona and not other woods when you start. Yeah, there we go. Dave zooming in on the really unique part about this. For one thing, that's true. The other, the purple colors. The purple colors. See, when you get some of these other oxide colors, these brighter yellows and purples, reds, those are mostly only found in the Arizona woods, the petrified woods from the different impurities of the high ore content from the geology around that area. Now, when I walked, and of course, I went to the Petrified Wood National Forest and walked the trails, I came upon a petrified log. The log had to be 2 feet across, but the center of the log, and it was right on the trail. And of course, that's where they have, of course, in the visitors building, a display of all the people that sent pieces of wood that they took back. that they took, and they sent them back along with letters of all the bad luck that they had since they did the huge no-no of taking a piece of petrified wood off of the National Forest property there. And of course, that's the taboo. That's the taboo for the Hawaiian king, whatever his Hawaiian name was, to prevent people from bringing back again rocks and whatnot from Hawaii, is to scare people into being bad luck. But when you read the letters and the bad luck people had after leaving there and with their stolen rock is horrendous enough to scare you into never even thinking about it. But that said, when I came across that 2-foot across log, there had to have been a center opening of a foot in the middle of it where there was nothing but amethyst crystals. There was incredible color all around. And instead of this opening with this one, no, the opening was like relative to this piece, like this size, and the amethyst crystals just pointing all the way inside. It was everything I could do to not get arrested. No, it was beautiful. Take pictures. That's all I could do. It was really beautiful, but it was amazing to see that. It was amazing to see that. Now, this one, an opening with crystals on the inside is so unique and rare. It's why I have had this and enjoyed it for that reason. You can see some other little crystallization there. And then on this side, you have a really nice opening. Now you can see they only semi-polished this side. So anyone with a flat lap could complete the polish and probably clean out some of the polishing gunk that's even left on the crystals in here. But if we look in there, you can see you have some really nicely formed crystals, and that mostly does look like polishing compound that needed to be cleaned out probably a little bit better. But you have well-defined crystals that are visible. So nice thickness to this, and most all were conifers in the Arizona petrified woods that they have. And remember, a lot of petrified wood in Arizona is on private land, and that is where, you know, the material comes from, as is from the private properties that surround the Petrified Wood National Forest. Price on this one, I have a really excellent value on it. Oh, by the way, beware. Many of these are actually glued together. In other words, for either the action of sawing or polishing them, they've come apart. You can see the many different fissures in it. Of course, it's 200 million years old. That can happen. Many are glued together. Nothing on this piece is glued together, though. You can see that you have some fractures, but when you go to look, none of them ever go all the way through like this. And when you follow it, it doesn't translate to the other side. So I can't tell which is the front and which is the back. They're both beautiful either way. But one is a little less polished than the other. Here we go. $58. Only $58. Arizona material could easily be $100 more than that. Now, let me see. Let me keep up with the time here and get to as much as I can get to you. Oh, yes, 119-3124. Now, this would be a sign. If you remember the story I'm going to tell you next, then you will have been watching me for a long time, because the 14-pound opal, even Mark the opal hunter had never seen one that large. Well, I had offered it for sale many times. It was a huge polished opal that I used for a doorstop for a long time. Well, it never sold. And so this is item 119-3124. So I decided to saw it up. Yep, I took a 14-pound opal, and I thought I had sold off most of all the pieces. I found this the other day. Let me show you. Check this piece out. It is still, it's still huge. This is natural Australian honey opal. This is all natural colors. And let's look at the play of color here. This is all completely natural. You can see beautiful coloring. Look at this. Look, and again, different angles, you're going to get some amazing colors. Look at that. And I mean, this, everything from Look at the blue. You can carve this. You can use it for a stand for another carving or another crystal specimen. Look at the colors running on this side. Look at all that blue. That is all play of color. And as we follow this around, let's see. You look at the fire continues, and like I always say, you never know. Really, you don't. Well, you never know what's on the inside. You just never really know. Wow, look at that. Look at these colors. So that's that side. Here is the other side. Again, you have fire showing on both. This is just one of those really unique pieces that, again, when I came across that 14-pound opal, I was amazed. I was amazed when I had it. But, you know, here's what we have now. This is what we're down to. Price on this entire piece, only $77. I mean, think about the opal you could cut from this area right here, the number of opals you could cut. I mean, well beyond a $77 value. And who knows what else you might find along the way. It's a multi-purpose specimen right there. Now, let me show you, let's see. Oh boy. 119, 28, 24. Oh. Look at this. This is 119, 28, 24. You need the info or do you have it? Okay, yeah, it's in that paper I sent. Okay, take a look. This is one of the, probably the show, well, outside of the emerald and some of the others, but for a mineral specimen, probably the showpiece of today in this. And it has been in another collection, and that's why you see this collection number there. I just leave them there because that is part of its provenance and history. Now, for those of you that remember when I got that incredible estate of Spanish fluorites, this is part of that estate. And look at this. You would first look at this and think, oh, is that quartz? Is that calcite? No. This is one of the rarest, well, it is the rarest color in fluorite there is. And that is clear white. Again, like goshenite, fluorite is a simple chemical formula. So it is allochromatic. All those colors in fluorite come from other impurities in it. In its pure form, this is the color that you see it is. But again, it is so rare. Look at all these isometric cubes. In other words, that is the crystal system that fluorite forms in and why you see so many cubes. But there is many of them that intersect each other. And like this. And that is what makes it really interesting when you start examining it. But wait, there's more. Look at this side. I'm not sure which side is better. This has one of the most unusual formations of dolomite. Look at these squarish shape dolomites. And then look at the facet grade quality of these fluorites. It is extremely unique. Look at the size of that one crystal and look at the clarity to it. You can see right through that. Look at that. And look at the surface. That is beautiful. And then look at back underneath there, that bridge with the fluorites. Look at these fluorites growing on top. Look at the clarity. of these fluorites on top. Isn't that neat and unique? I mean, that's what you look for in special pieces, is the aesthetics of them. And this could be a calcite or some type of calcite base, but it's formed all around those fluorites as well. And then you have a little bit of druzy quartz down here that I noticed as well in this piece. And you have, this is from the Emilio mine, and which is not as common or popular as some of the others, like the Villabona and other ones. This, what makes this really unique is something else. It might be difficult for me to show you at the moment, but you'll easily be able to see when you come in close, Dave, on one of these. And let me just see. Okay, here we go. There is right there. See that dark inclusion? See that dark inclusion? When you get to looking at them, here we go. There's a dark inclusion. Look at all these. See all these dots? Now, there can be some chalcopyrite. Chalcopyrite will often, though, because of the iron in it, that is probably what's coloring some of this other material in the yellows. But you can also identify chalcopyrite when you're looking into it. These don't have a crystal shape. Guess what they are? Pyrobitumen. What? Yep, pyrobitumen. That is the same inclusion that is in like Tibetan Herkimer quartz, Tibetan doubly terminated quartz crystals. It is an organic material, and it is that organic material, you can look at this, that sets it apart and tells you it is from only a couple of particular mines in Spain. Does it form like that and grow, the fluorite grown around it? How? I don't know. I need to read more about it, but it is completely unique and unusual. And the Emilio mine, this is one of the definitors for saying and knowing a specimen is from the Emilio mine, is to have those bitumen inclusions or pyrobitumen inclusions that, now that you see what you're looking for, they are easy to stand out. And ones then that don't look exactly like others, then maybe chalcopyrite. This is a remarkable, remarkable piece. Clear white fluorite, one of the rarest colors there is. And I have this at a discount opportunity because there was actually a little sticker on what I had paid for. And I actually had paid a good deal. Look at these. See these on the side sticking out like that? I mean, it just doesn't get any better aesthetically. It looks like, it, again, could be on the cover of a magazine. Price on this, an amazing opportunity of only $177. $177. It could be twice that, and it would be a good value. And again, the Emilio mine, all the information, if it's not typed up right there now for you, will be on the label that I've created for you. So you can just see the rest of it. The pyrobitumen, the Chalco, and the Emilio mine from Asturias. I think that will tell you enough right there. Okay, now let's see. We only have a few minutes left with you, and with that, I will show you something else that, let's take a look at this. Sometimes they even surprise me what I put in these things. Oh yes. Okay, we can do this. We can do this. Take a look at this. Item number 119-2024. Wow, I have had these for years and I have not offered them at all until right now. And this is an amazing rarity. Look at this. Wow. Heulandite, peach color, but it's bicolor. You have peach and you have white, some in the same crystal. Look at this. And then this is mordanite. This is on mordanite. And if you think that that's just a chalky looking mess, no. Use magnification, and these are all crystalline. They are all crystallized, and you can see that with enough magnification. We won't do that right now because I want to get to the other couple items, but look at this. That's not all. Look at the back of this. Look at those green spheres, you know? Look at that. Those are celadonites. Celadonites. This is for Aurangabad, a different area than some of the other. Look at the little red ones. Those are little red heulandites. There is much left to be discovered and for you to figure out on this, but I have given you a big head start. Look at that classic fan style to the heulandite. That specimen, a real rarity, a real rarity. You know what great deals I have on zeolites. This is a zeolite. I have not offered anyone any of them like this. This one is only $77. Let's look at item 1192224. I have three that are different, but basically somewhat similar. This one is on mordanite, and the being on mordanite, it's only this location that it is found on mordanite. Look at this. Again, bicolor, beautiful, beautiful crystals, just on their own against that incredible white backdrop. And then here is your celadonite here as well. You have some little spherules here also. And then this other material, not exactly sure. I think there might be some calcite involved there, but I'll leave some of that exploration to all of you. This piece, price on it is only $58. Only $58 on that one. And then the last of this offering is item number 1192124. 1192124. And let's see what that gets us. Oh, yes. Okay, so this, look at this. All of these somewhat similar size to each other, but each a little different in its own right. Again, look at the bicolor, but this, look at these horseshoe, saddle-shaped crystal forms. And this is very desirable, and not too many other minerals will and can form in what they call a saddle type formation. Beautiful, reflective, bright heulandites here. Bicolor as well. And then let's look at this. I think the back of this one is as beautiful as the front. Look at those gyrolites. I mean, gyrolites, they do look like gyrolites, but they're not. How my brain works, because I have a piece with green. Anyway, that's another. Look at that, celadonite. And then look at these crystals of the heulandite. And this other material is crystalline. It doesn't fluoresce. I do not think they're little quartzites because of the color. I think they are something different. So if any of you figure that out, that would be a help. It can be done. Just takes a little more time than I have. Look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. Thanks, Dave. Great shot right there. Look at that. That is a specimen in itself, especially when you see how it's ringed out by the white frame. But then this side, wow, gorgeous, gorgeous. And price on this one, Only $77. Only $77 on that one as well. Double-sided, wonderful, wonderful piece in itself. Okay, that is going to about wrap it up for us this show. I'm going to be right back with trivia. It's time. Ready for trivia. The anhydro bubble came out of hiding. It took a little bit of time, but now I know where it goes, and I'll have it for you, even maybe for sale next weekend. All right, 2 questions. What family of minerals does labradorite belong to? And the bigger group, let's put it that way. So what family of minerals does labradorite, or group of minerals, does labradorite belong to? Second question. Hewlandite, mordanite, stilbite, celadonite, and oconite. Which, if any, is not a zeolite? Hewlandite, mordanite, stilbite, celadonite, and oconite. Which, if any of them, is not a zeolite? Okay, I'll look forward to seeing all of you next Monday, and I hope you have a great week in between. Stay cool, drink lots of water, but not the kind that is flooding you out to so many of you. And as someone with kinfolk in Charleston and in Myrtle Beach, and then in Rockymont, yep, they got all they could stand. God bless all of you. Again, thank you all for continuing to be here for me. I really appreciate it. Take care. See you Monday.